Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of hell. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
Hi, everyone. This is Wendy Rosenthal, and you are listening to Distill It, a 360-degree view of life in sports. I'm here with my amazing co-host, Eira Switzer.
What's my last name again?
I did it just to mess with
I know you did.
We're really happy to be here this afternoon, and particularly happy because we have the most awesome guest here with us today. And also, before I introduce her, the most awesome engineer ever. That'd be Jarvis. Yay, Jarvis.
Our security blanket.
Our security blanket, exactly right. Before we get started, I just want to say a couple of things because it's a big week in sports. So last night we had the Home Run Derby. I don't know if anybody had a chance to see it, but Aaron Judge won, which was not a big surprise, actually.
Not at all.
But it was very exciting. We have, of course, the All-Star Game, the Major League All-Star Game starting in just a couple of hours, which I know I'll be watching and rooting. Sorry for all of those of you who are on the East Coast. We will be rooting. Well, that's not true. No, National League is also.
Yeah, exactly.
We're rooting for the National League here. Sorry, our Dodgers are playing. A lot of our Dodgers are playing, right? Well,
Yeah.
they're my Dodgers. I don't know about you. You never told me.
I
You a
like
Dodger
them.
fan?
I am.
So there's that happening. And then on Wednesday night, tomorrow is the ESPYs, which I think our guest is going to be able to say a little something about. I hope. It's very exciting.
I've been so busy. Like, even on the way over here, I'm like, oh my God, I got a million phone calls. I'm like, don't worry about it. It's all taken care of. You'll be ready to go tomorrow.
And,
love it.
and before I introduce that voice that just came on, Jhoanna Alba. Just go ahead and introduce her. Might as well. No, Jarvis, I wanted to talk about my hat. Sorry. I'll talk about it after. Anyway, our in-studio guest is an amazing woman. Her name is Jhoanna Alba. We had the absolute pleasure of meeting her when she agreed to show her amazing designs at a charity function that Eira and I were a part of called Fashion Setters. And not only did she show her designs, but she was amazing in bringing 5 of her clients to walk the runway, which they hadn't done before and had not been seen anywhere.
But everyone loved. The audience
everyone
loved
loved
watching them. It was such a
amazing.
treat.
It was. Jhoanna is the founder and principal designer of Alba Bespoke Clothing. She has been a designer since very young age. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
We'll keep it at that.
And she has a stellar client list of athletes from across all different sports, which is really something that we want to touch on with you today. People like Magic Johnson to Russell Westbrook. We're going to go through some of the people that you're working with because we had a chance, to meet them at Fashion Setters, and also we're fascinated by their stories. And we are just really grateful, Jhoanna, that you're here because I think you will bring a perspective of a very big topic, fashion and sports, down to something that is really personal and something that is really exciting to hear about. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's exciting.
I want to say before we get started that if you have any comments or questions, you can reach us on our Facebook live stream. You can leave comments. We're happy to answer any questions, or you can call in at 323-284-7826. We would love to talk to you. And before I launch into a discussion with Jhoanna, I do have to say a little something about my hat.
I love it. I want one.
So Jhoanna doesn't know this, but I love hats. And so every week, every show, I wear a different hat. And usually I try and match the hat to the topic if I can. Sometimes it's random, if not. But this is what I consider to be my most fashionable hat. So
It is fashionable. It's so fashionable. I love it.
And I think we all wear very many hats.
This is true. It's true.
Yes.
And funny, one of the in preparing for the show, we were posting a lot on our Facebook page about athletes that we feel are game changers on and off the field, meaning that what they're doing on the field is huge, but when they get off with and through their style, they're also changing things. And one of the game changers we highlighted was Cam Newton, who has an affinity for hats that is kind of unmatched. I don't know that I would wear any of the hats that he has, but he wears them so well.
He's not a client of mine, but I'm a fan. He is not afraid to express his personality. I love everything and look forward to what he's going to, show this season.
What he's going to do next.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great place to start off. You're talking about how Cam expresses his personality. One of the things that I think is so amazing about you and how you position your company and the work that you do with your clients is you kind of have this hashtag, hashtag look of your legacy.
Yes.
And that just struck me as being so profound, actually, because most people think of legacy in sports is the stats, what they've done, what I've done as an athlete on the field. Did I get into the Hall of Fame? Did I do all of these things? And I think what you're saying is part of all of that is how you present yourself.
Well, Magic Johnson has been my mentor for over 20 years. And if you ask him or if you see him, he's always in a suit. That's his uniform.
Yeah.
So when I was thinking of, a slogan or something for the company, it was, what does the company represent? And I work with these, rookies from college, moving on to the pros, and then throughout their career, and then even after their career. So we've created that look of their legacy, and that's how we came up with that.
But I think it's so profound because a legacy doesn't have to just be about what you're doing in sports, right?
And what's fun about fashion, I think, is that so much of the time you don't necessarily know what you want. You might not always particularly have a particular sense of style that you want to stick to, but you know that something appeals to you. You're drawn to something, certain things over others. So when you have a client come your way, do you get to work with him or her in terms of deciding what that look is going to be, sort of tailoring it, to them? Do they have ideas that they sort of throw onto you and you say, hey, do something with this? How does it sort of evolve into something that really becomes a legacy?
Well, I'm not going to brag.
No, please brag. It's okay.
Please do.
But, Russell Westbrook just won NBA Style Award last week at the NBA Awards. And I've had the honor of working with him since, I did his draft suit.
Love it.
And the draft suit was based on UCLA colors. So if you go back and look at his pictures, he wore, I recall, a gray pinstripe suit, but he incorporated a yellow and blue, shirt and tie combination to incorporate, where he played in college.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've been working with him throughout the years, and he just started, really getting into it, and he's worldwide.
You're right.
He just went to Paris Fashion Week, and we're dressing him halfway for the ESPYs. I'm making his pants.
Yeah.
The top is going to be a surprise. We don't know yet, but he was one of the phone calls that I received on the way over here.
But he's one of the people that we highlighted on our Facebook page because, again, he's so unique. I mean, his style is
He's so fun.
And fearless.
Yes.
fearless.
It really is. It's whatever comes to me today, that's what I'm going to do. Regardless of what anyone else thinks or says or thinks is appropriate, this is me today.
And it actually, encourages everyone else to do the same.
Sure.
So there's like this somewhat of a competition now. So I'm dressing approximately 16 players tomorrow.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own different, unique, style, but you're going to see some fun things tomorrow.
I love it.
And
Very cool.
How much do they influence? I have to imagine a lot, but do they come in and say, I want exactly this, I want exactly that? Do I,
They have no clue.
Really? Yeah.
So I just give them options from, something basic to something crazy, outrageous.
Isn't that
And then
funny?
we collaborate and I'll edge them a little bit. Andre Drummond is going to be one of my favorites tomorrow, so look out for that.
So great.
Very unique. He's almost 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
He's broad. He just lost, about 15, 20 pounds, so he's feeling really good and lean and mean. So he's excited about his outfit tomorrow.
That's so fascinating. And I just want to comment that a very, very close friend of mine who is also a sports presenter in the UK, Marshall Norble, sorry, I just said your name wrong, is watching from the UK.
Fun.
We're
Welcome,
very
Marshall.
excited about that, as is Mike Swinney, who says hello.
Oh, hello, Mike.
So one of the things that I wanted to find out from you is, a lot of the research that we've done to prepare for the show is seeing how sports is influencing fashion on every level, from haute couture to, basic, everyday streetwear.
Right.
And I assume that fashion is also influencing players as to what they connect to. The crossover is big. Have you seen that in your 20 plus years of being around it? How are you seeing things evolve in terms of fashion and sports?
Oh, tremendously. That I see a lot of now athletes going to Paris Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week. They're really involved in that. They're also a brand. They want to look good. They want to, present themselves well. And if you look at Russell, and he has all these, not just his endorsements, but he's a brand ambassador for True Religion. He has he's the first athlete at Barney's to have his own clothing line there. So it's really encouraging for other, athletes that really want to get involved in fashion.
And does it always have to be at that level? Okay, we understand why Russell has all the endorsements that he has. Are you seeing athletes influence regardless of where they are in the kind of the totem pole? Like you're
100%.
saying, even the draftees, like the kids that are coming out of college.
Right. 100%. Well, and then GQ has their edition every year. They recently did one with, I believe, Aaron Gordon was on there, and so absolutely, it doesn't matter. I just believe that they are really getting into the whole fashion scene.
What's the appeal for fashion, do you think? Because you mentioned, one who happens to go into creating a whole athletic line, or not an athletic line, whatever it is, but some sort of a fashion line. Why fashion? Why do athletes tend to gravitate towards wanting to launch their own line?
Well, I look at things and it's music, it's fashion,
Yeah.
it's sports. It's all intertwined. And you have, music, people talking about name brands, Balenciaga, Gucci,
Yeah.
it's all in their music.
Yeah.
I just think it's all universal. So, yeah.
One of the things that I was struck by is, I don't want to talk a whole lot about it because I think it's a show unto itself, but you raised endorsements. Now, I just read something that Michael Jordan still, to this day, generates $60 million a year in income off of his Nike deal.
It's so wild.
The numbers are staggering, and that just to me says that, we are so interconnected personally, each and every one of us that loves sports, like we are so connected to it. It's the kind of thing where I don't know if you have a perspective on it, but why? Like, why does somebody need to have the name Michael Jordan or, Steph Curry or Russell Westbrook on their brand in order for them to feel like, is it aspirational? I want to be like them?
I think so. Absolutely. And if you want to talk about like Michael Jordan back in the days, he was really the first one to come out and wear suits.
Right.
And look professional.
Yeah.
They actually did it in the 80s if you look at, I'm dating myself, but they
That's
were
okay.
all in suits.
I'm probably older than you. I probably date myself worse than you.
But Michael Jordan was really, one of the first athletes to really wear suits.
Yeah.
He was wearing the big suits with the big shoulders and the long jackets, but everybody wanted to dress like him.
Sure.
So that was the style back then.
Well, and it reminds me of the Allen Iverson quote,
Right.
where dress like a superhero, play like one. So
Yeah.
you kind of feel like if you're putting on, something that Michael Jordan might have designed or even wear himself,
Yeah.
might play a little bit better.
He might look better. He might play better.
I just walk better, look better walking down the street, but
Right.
Yeah, it's so
dress
true.
like a superhero.
It's so true.
I think it just, confidence. Like, you look at the kids in elementary school and high school that are playing their hearts out.
Yeah.
And they want to be just like them, So it's exciting
Yeah.
to watch and see all that happen.
Yeah.
I was struck by, I thought that sports and fashion was not such an old thing. It was, like I kind of mentioned to you when we were talking, like Joe Namath and the
fur coat.
the fur coat on the sideline, which back in those days was huge, right?
Absolutely. Broadway Joe.
Broadway Joe. And he owned it. He owned that
Absolutely.
look.
Yeah.
And who walks? Seriously.
Russell Westbrook.
Walks the rest right now.
I made him a fur coat. Yeah.
It's hysterical. But when you really look at it, it kind of started as early as the 1920s, and the first person that kind of really embodied it was Rene Lacoste, the football player, tennis player. Sorry, I was in the football mind. Tennis player who wanted comfort on the court back in the days when they actually wore ties to play tennis.
Sure, yeah.
To marry comfort with style,
Yeah.
and that's where the Lacoste line came from. And so if you look at how intertwined sports and fashion have been, even in a tennis setting, which seems the most buttoned up, the least, like open to interpretation, it's almost like it had its genesis there.
Right.
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 And then you come up to somebody like, a Joe Namath, and you mentioned Allen Iverson, which leads me to the idea of, Allen Iverson was very controversial, right?
Oh, I was there.
You were there? Good. Maybe you can put some perspective because, his street look caused quite a stir.
That's the reason why they implemented a dress code.
Exactly.
Which did wonders for me and my company. But
Well, that's what I didn't realize. I started doing research, and the comments that I kept coming across were, if it weren't for Allen Iverson, actually, the athletes wouldn't have stepped up to wear really nice suits, to outdo each other with
Right.
really nice suits.
Right.
So
we
can you
should
talk
thank
about that?
we should thank Alan for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
We
you, Ellen.
thank
Thank
Alan
you.
a great deal for that, and so much
Yes.
more. He was an amazing guy to watch.
Well,
on the court.
that's when they implemented the dress code, and I had my my veterans back in the days, like Lamar Odom, who was playing with the Lakers back then,
Yeah.
and he bought 5 suits for all the rookies. I remember Jordan Farmar was on there. I think Von Miller. There was the veterans used to buy suits for all the rookies and take care of them.
Really? Why?
Yeah. Just welcome to the league. Like, this is how you're supposed to dress, kind of like a mentor type
So
of
great.
thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love hearing that.
So Stephon Marbury did the same thing. So it just became like, a domino effect where the veterans started taking care of the rookies, and then now everyone's dressing. So
Was there any backlash amongst the players? Like, how could they create this dress code? We really want to be able to freely express ourselves, like maybe not like Alan, but in whatever way that they did.
no, well, first of all, they wanted to dress because they'd rather get dressed than get fined.
Yeah.
But, once you wore the suit, it was like, okay, I feel good. Then it was, everyone got into the vibe, and then I think that's how it progressed. And now everyone's excited to get dressed. And, I think
And I think it has
They
a
enjoy
positive
it.
effect, or it can have a positive effect based on, if you present yourself a certain way, it affects how you perform professionally.
Right.
I grew up with my mom as a seamstress, so she made everything for all of us, always. And she was always very clear. People will treat you based on how you look. Make sure you
Absolutely.
always know how to present yourself for the appropriate time and place. So I think while it was challenging, because I do also respect and honor where Allen Iverson was coming from, which was really very much rooted in, this is who I am,
Sure.
this is where I came from, this is how we grew up looking and dressing, and I want to be able to bring that to wherever I'm at now. I very much respect that position. At the same time, it helps, I think, to be able to just know that if you put on a suit, you're going to work.
right.
Right? It affects sort of your perception and your ability to
Exactly.
perform a certain way.
And again, going back to Magic Johnson, he'll change into 3 different suits a day because
Really?
Oh yes, he has an outfit for his meeting in the morning, then he changes into his motivational speaking engagement, and then he changes again into a night gala event.
Sure.
So it's important, and look what he's done for his brand and for his foundation.
I was going to say, look what he's done for more than just himself. I mean,
Yeah.
what
For
a
me.
no, really, what an inspiration. I mean, not to
Absolutely.
go too off topic, but I was always been a Laker fan, and that was my era of really watching the Lakers and understanding what basketball was and really learning about it. And I feel like for me personally, Magic was kind of an athletic role model for me,
Sure.
like how
Yeah.
he acted on and off the field, particularly after he, announced his HIV. How I remember being in my office, hearing it, crying, not because I was upset with him. I ached for him
Right.
because of
So
all
did
the
I.
good that he
Yeah.
has done in the world.
Yeah.
And continues. to do.
Yeah.
So amazing.
So when you talk about Magic Johnson being your mentor, can you give us just a bit of a history as to how how this all came about? Why fashion? Why sewing? Why athletes? Why?
Well, oh my gosh, I was 21 years old, And I was working for a company that was doing custom clothing, but I was in charge of the women's division. So I was actually making clothes for Cookie and a lot of the wives.
Yeah.
But Magic just, there was some kind of connection. He's like, I want you to choose my accessories. I want you to choose, all my ties and handkerchiefs and put the whole combination together. So I remember walking down Rodeo Drive with all his suits, trying to match up his Gucci and Versace ties with all his suits. And then there was just a connection, and he actually motivated me to start my own company. And here I am later.
Yeah. Later. we don't need
We
to
won't
know
talk about how
much
later.
later. Just later.
Yeah.
So would you be upset if we asked a few questions about some of your clients? And
not at all.
Because we had the pleasure of meeting several of them, 5 of them at least, at the Fashion Setters Gala. So what is it like to dress William Hayes from the Rams? Sorry, Rams fan. So I've got to bring up the Rams.
Unfortunately, he just got traded to the Dolphins.
Oh my gosh!
And he was another one that I spoke to today. Yes, it's just so much fun. It's not really all about the clothes. It's about the relationships you're building.
Right.
So I just met William for the first time, but we connected, and I said, hey, there's a fashion show. You would be great. And he was practicing, and he'll probably kill me for saying this, but he was the biggest guy there. He's 275 pounds, 60. He was, and he was the most nervous, but he was like, I'll do it again, and they all do it because it obviously was for a great cause.
Yeah.
My core value of my company is giving back. So to just, grab everybody together and do something special that evening, we had Orlando, and from different teams, which is fun,
exactly.
right?
So neat, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the relationships that you build. Orlando Scandrick, I've worked with since his rookie year, and so it's just been amazing. They give me so much support. There's so much love, but at the end of the day, it's about what are we doing? What does the look of our legacy look like? Are we giving back? What are we doing? So
going to that, when you say what does the look of my legacy look like, right? I'm gonna say this in a way that is not meant to be offensive, but just to kind of, clarify. A suit's a suit, right? And they're all beautiful suits. Everything I saw walk out on that runway and everything I've seen of what you do is gorgeous. So how do you create an individual legacy for each player that comes to you?
That's a great question. Well, I think a lot of the times for their look, they trust me.
Right.
Once I do the first go round, they're like, okay, do whatever you want. And that's 90% of my clients. The other 10% really want to be involved in picking things out. But at the end of the day, it's this is what I do for a living. This is what I love. You play sports. That's what you love. So, we just collaborate.
But is it a significantly different look for each person, or is it moderately different, or do you know what I'm saying?
It's not significantly, because I also, as a brand, like to keep it, within my own lane. Sure. So I don't try to do anything too outrageous or something that, really stands out. You have Alexander McQueen, who's very, couture, high fashion. But then you have Tom Ford, that's very classic and, more on the conservative side. Right. I'm kind of in between. So really it's based on the client. If Russell really wants to do something, he called me for the NBA awards. He's like, I want a polka dot suit.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you got it. But I found the smallest polka dot you can possibly find. And, he loved it. So there's a compromise. I don't ever compromise their personality and their style.
Sure.
But I give them my suggestions, and at the end of the day, they trust me.
They usually take?
Yeah.
Also, what I noticed, which I thought was fascinating on some of the images I saw, was the linings that you do, the really personalized linings.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that, and how it must be very difficult, and is it, hand painted, or how does that work?
So, I wanted to do something different one year, and it was when Marcus Smart came out. He plays for the Boston Celtics. I said, what can we do something that's meaningful? So Alba stands for a light beyond appearance.
Which I love.
Yes, it's my last name, but I'm like, I don't want it to be just about me.
Yeah.
It has to mean something. So what does it mean? And so when Marcus was getting drafted, I did a little research, and I found out his brother had passed away. And he also played basketball. So, I kind of read his story, and I was just intrigued by it. And I said, what can I do that's special to him that he'll remember? So I hired a famous artist, and she hand painted the entire lining of his suit of his life story.
Yeah.
His mother's name's in there,
Wow.
where he grew up, where he went to school. His brother was number 3, had a basketball, said rest in peace. You know, and it was a surprise. He didn't even know I was doing it. So when I unveiled it in front of GQ, like we had this moment, this like,
Yeah.
moment, and
Yeah.
I'm trying not to cry.
I was going to say, I feel like I'm having a moment now because that's amazing what you
was,
can do.
It was an emotional moment,
Yeah.
but it was like, I wanted to incorporate his college career moving, never forget where you came from. I'm from the
Sure.
Philippines,
Yeah.
and I come from a third world country, so that's why, I have to instill that, because I have a 13-year-old daughter that's watching my every move.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's really, it was beautiful. But you've done it with others too. Do people request it?
Yeah.
No?
that was like kind of what we did that year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just we didn't want to leave anybody out, so we did that for everybody that we dressed that year at the draft.
So you had some draftees this year that you're working with. Can you tell us about that?
Well, Dennis Smith got best dressed.
Yeah.
And just again, so much fun to work with. It's not about who's best dressed or anything like that. It's about just vibing with that client that I know that I have confidence I'm going to work with him for the rest of his career.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless my daughter takes over, and then I'll just oversee
Then
it.
you'll be consulting.
Correct.
A very different
Yeah.
approach for you. I love a light beyond appearance, though, because it really is. It's certainly with the story that you just shared, it's so much about being able to extract that essence from someone and
Yes.
help them showcase it in a way that it is beyond the physical appearance. It is beyond what they're wearing. It's something that just is drawn out of them when they look a certain way, when they're wearing something that's really, bespoke.
And that's rewarding.
to them, yeah.
It's very rewarding.
Yeah.
I was going to ask because the distillery, Eira and my company, we work with athletes as they transition in their career in sports and then out of sports. So you work with, college kids that are being drafted, and you work with seasoned professionals. So for our own kind of business curiosity, how do you see them being different, like as you see different stages of your clients' careers?
From rookies to
From
retire.
Well, and also not even being rookies yet. You obviously are working with them before they have been drafted.
Right. Well. So Bam, he just got drafted. He was from Kentucky, and he's never owned a pair of jeans in his life. He's 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
He wears a size 18, 19 shoe. They're getting bigger and taller, and their shoes are getting bigger these days.
Right.
But the difference is, like Bam really trusted me. I created his entire wardrobe for the NBA draft. He said, just, do what you think I need to wear. And I had a whole lookbook ready for him. But what I like to do is I also educate, our clients. You don't have to go all crazy. Get your staple colors. I'll teach you how to mix and match.
Right.
I'll teach you how to maximize your wardrobe. So it's not, we're educating them as well. And, I've went through my times where I'm like, I made a bright orange suit, and I was like, what was I thinking? I should have told him rust, But yeah.
But as a personality, do you see the rawness of the rookie coming out, and then you kind of get to the seasoned professional, and they're like,
What's really funny? It's almost they've almost met in the middle, because now I have clients that are retired that are saying, "Can you make me skinny pants?" Where before they wouldn't even dare.
That's
They
hysterical.
wouldn't even, and I'm gonna throw him under the bus. But Marcus Camby, who's been my dear friend for over 14 years, wore pants bigger than Shaq's pants.
Yeah.
And so just recently he's like, "Can you go skinnier?" I'm like, I thought I'd never hear you say that, but every year I'd go smaller and smaller and hope he wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
And so now he's finally saying, "All right, I'll try the skinny pants."
That's so
That's great. I love that. Now, you mentioned shoes, and so I want to give you an opportunity to talk about the amazing thing that you're doing in Colombia. So if you could share that with us.
Yes, absolutely. I recently, it's been a year now, and I partnered with a family from Colombia, and they came to me, and they we spoke about my company, and they're like, what does your company need? And I said, it's really difficult for me to find shoes after size, 13, 14. I have clients whose feet are size 19.
Right.
So we spoke a little bit, and they decided to move to Milan for 6 months and learn the shoemaking industry business, how they make Italian shoes by hand. So they moved out there, learned everything. They actually recruited a shoemaker to move to Colombia, and he committed a year to teach single moms how to make the exact same shoes they make in Milan in Colombia. So they purchased all the exact equipment, and he's teaching them how to do it. And then our ultimate goal is to build a school across the street. I get emotional when where the kids can have an education while the parents
Are working.
Love it.
are working. I'm a single mom,
love
so
it.
I
No,
get emotional
I
talking
get-
about
look,
it. But that's one of the reasons why it
that's
was
amazing.
so important for
I'm
me.
a single mom, and my mom is half Nigerian, half Colombian. So Colombia is very much
sweet.
my
Oh
home.
wow!
It's home.
It's
So I
in
love her.
Bogota.
In Bogota, nice.
Yeah,
I love it.
Is that it? Bogota?
Bogota? Yes.
The name of the collection is Donum, which means blessed.
Love it.
So
Donum.
yeah, Donum.
So for people who want to get more information on that,
you just
what's
go to
coming up?
our website actually,
Yeah.
alba-la.com.
love it.
I just want to remind everybody that if you do have any questions, please feel free to come through on Facebook Live or give us a call. We've had a couple of, I can't see all the viewers, so if I missed you, because Miriam Shmilovich, I missed you last week, and all I heard was, you missed me. I can't see everybody all the time, but thank you for joining us. Jhoanna, I think it's really a tribute that you get emotional, because one of the things that we wanted to highlight about fashion and sports, I mean, there is emotion behind it, and what you're doing is amazing. That you're helping people really, create a career for themselves and it helps you, and it helps your business, and it helps your clients. But sports are so emotional. We talk so much here about sports being a metaphor for life in so many different ways. But fashion is also. I mean, who doesn't remember their favorite piece of clothing that they ever wore, their most fashionable hat, or that, seriously, that, like that piece of, that item of clothing that they carry with you in your closet, even though you don't want to wear it anymore. It's like, I'm sorry, there's my 80s outfit with the
That
big
you just
shoulder pads. You can't
get rid of.
You can't get rid of it. I'm never putting it on again, but it connects me to a time of my life that meant something. So, I think it's really apropos in a way that you can show your emotion, because both sports and fashion really generate that.
I grew up that way. Every weekend it was our family would get together and we would watch sports. Yeah. But I have like a hand fixation. Like I always have to be doing something with my hands, and I would watch myself watching sports but sewing at the same time with my mother.
Yeah.
So here we are sewing clothes but watching sports, and how everything came full circle. Now we're making clothes for athletes and people that we were watching. Tommy Lasorda, I had an honor to have dinner with him and his wife, Jhoanna, the same name.
Sure.
And, they sat down with me as well, and they said, if you love what you do for a living, this is the first time I've heard it. I've heard it a million times after that, but then you've never worked a day in your life, and
Exactly.
that's always stuck in my head. So
That's a great reminder. When we have clients, come to us thinking about what they want to do next, one of the things that we do, obviously, is put them in touch with people that we know who can sort of help guide them and at least have a conversation about what they're considering. The fashion industry is not easy.
No.
At all. Not easy to break into, not easy to succeed in. If someone was coming to you to say, hey, I would love to be able to follow in your footsteps, or I want to launch my own line, athlete or not, what are some tips?
just, never let go of that passion, and stay diligent to, what you really want to accomplish.
Yeah.
But be true to yourself, be honest, never burn a bridge.
Yeah.
The industry is too small.
Right.
But, just do good, and good will come to you. It's really a simple lifestyle.
We forget that.
We
do
do.
good, and good will come.
It's
Come right back
it's
to
as
you.
simple as it can come.
Yeah.
So we've talked about a couple of people that we thought are game changers. I wonder if I can throw out another few names and see if you have any insight into them. Whether they're a client or not, it
Sure.
doesn't matter. I think one person that I've really found to be inspirational from a female perspective is Serena Williams.
Yes.
Her power on the court and her power off the court. And her outfits are incredible for her on the court, what she does for herself on the court. And then to go and create a line of clothing that's sold on Home Shopping Network, which on a certain level you kind of feel like she could have done it a different way. She could have gone a higher end and all of that.
Right.
But she's reaching the masses.
Sure.
What do you think, like, of her style and what she's saying with what she does on the court and off?
She's very powerful. She's a very powerful female that everybody looks up to, and she's. I don't have a lot of experience with the Home Shopping Network. Most of what I do is all custom made, all done by hand from scratch. It's one-on-ones. But what she's done for females and with especially her physique and being able to reach out to that particular brand, then I think she's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of hers for a lot of reasons, but I was just impressed by the amount of creativity that she brought to tennis. Because even if you're not at Wimbledon, by the way, and you don't have to wear white, not a lot of tennis players really go out on a limb and say, this is what my personal style is, so I'm going to bring it onto the court. That's like, and she goes all out.
Confidence, and that means a lot to, the females now, especially with Instagram and all that. I have a 14-year-old that's on her phone. I have to give her a timeout, like, stop. But that's what they're looking at. And for her to bring something positive, to the younger generation, I'm all for that.
And Miriam, you just joined, so I am now acknowledging you.
I love it. Your design space is here in Los Angeles.
It is.
Can you talk to us about, because, so many people outsource and so many people sort of go abroad and they move beyond, but this is home for you and it's where you live and work. So can you talk to us a bit about that? I am born and raised in Los Angeles, so I love the city.
Right.
I tell people all the time, I love LA. So anyone that I know who's doing amazing stuff here and keeping it local makes me very excited.
I love LA as well. And I'm fortunate enough to travel, all over the world. But it is my home. I have a creative space showroom downtown LA in the Fashion District. Yeah. Across the street, we have our production house, which my mother of 72 years old runs.
Wow.
She hates that I say how old she is, but she's the hardest worker that, and that's who I look up to.
So great.
And she runs our whole production house, over 40 tailors in-house. Wow. And we have over now about 5 to 6, designers that travel nationwide.
Yeah. I noticed that, and I really love how you always give them credit, that it's their design. It's not like it's your design and they're in the background.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's important. I can't do this alone.
Yeah.
So it's important to acknowledge that.
Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that, fashion and sports is kind of enveloping bigger brands that are saying, okay, we want to take sports somehow into what our lines are. So I don't know if you've ever heard of this blog. It's called a Glam Slam.
Yes, I've heard of it.
It's actually nice.
Heather
Zeller, yes.
Zeller, yes.
And I just was on it kind of looking just to see, again, what's going on right now. And, she has articles about Lane Bryant launches NFL capsule. Mm-hmm. Lane Bryant. I mean, what do you think of when you hear Lane Bryant? Yeah. It's so not NFL, right?
Right.
Art of Football designs World Cup apparel. Peace Love World Teams with the NBA to launch women's apparel collection. Tommy Bahamas. I love this because my husband wears Tommy Bahamas a lot. Debuts MLB spring training collection of shirts.
Right.
So we have a call-in. Oh, I hear we have a call-in. So let's take the call.
So not NFL, right?
Hi, this is Wendy.
I was calling in on the sports program just to say, first of all, that I'm enjoying it, and secondly, to ask a question about...
Can you turn your radio down? Because we can hear an echo.
I can. Because you don't want to...
Do you recognize the voice?
Oh, gosh.
The voice. I didn't actually ask her to say hello to you. I asked her to give you a
hi,
Mike. I kind of want to ask a slightly different question about the guys that you work with and they getting toward the end of their careers, or their careers are cut short or whatever. A lot of the sports take a lot of heat because guys don't really know how to take care of themselves very well. They waste their money, they squander their money or whatever. do you feel like you have some influence on them about other parts of their life besides just fashion, where you can help them sort of pull their heads out and pay attention to the rest of their career, the rest of their life, not just their career?
Well, I have to be honest. I have like I said earlier, I'm all about building relationships, and I'm here for the long run. I try to stay out of that. Now, if they try to order too much clothes, I'll tell them to stop. I have no problem doing that.
Right.
But honestly, it's really, I just stay in my lane. And, I have relationships with all the top agents and all the top financial advisors, but, that's what they're there for.
Right.
I'm just there to, keep them company, put a smile on their face, make them laugh, make them look good. And that's what I enjoy the most.
But I love that you tell them to stop buying too much clothes.
I do that. I've done that. I have.
Nice.
I want them to keep coming
Not
back.
everyone, not everyone would be willing to say that to them. So,
No.
good for you.
No, I do. It's, when I went shopping with one of my clients, and he was just going, he wasn't even looking at the price tags.
Yeah.
'Cause, we do personal shopping as well. If they need something right away, I was helping a client that needed something. And I was like, okay, do you even know how much that costs? And he wasn't even looking at it. I'm like, you don't need that.
Right.
So, I want to be honest. And that, again,
That's great.
how you build relationships and keep them.
Yeah, exactly. Good for you. Mike, thank you for your question.
Do you have any others before we
Thank
let you
you.
go?
Not
Thanks,
me.
Mike.
Thank you.
Hi, Jhoanna.
Hi.
Anyway, what I want to say, and I appreciate the call in. It's like brands that you never thought would be engaged in sports or getting engaged in sports. Go ahead.
Well, this is actually the first I've heard, Tommy Bahama and Lane Bryant and all that. Again, I always focus on what I'm doing.
Sure.
So all this is new to me. But that's very interesting.
And it's a testament, I think, to the power of sports. It's such a far reach. And so obviously you want to be catering to the entire audience. And the entire audience is not just men at home watching football, but women as well.
For sure. I think it speaks again, this show is primarily about sports, and I just think it confirms and validates what we always say, is that sports is a metaphor for life. It whether we're athletic or not, whether we love watching a game on television or going to a game, it doesn't matter. It's infused in everything that we do. And if you're shopping in, Lane Bryant or Tommy Bahama's,
Right.
you may not even connect with it, but you're getting that, engagement with sports, whether you even really want to or not.
Right.
And I think that that's what's fascinating. And I think this topic of fashion and sports, I really believe we could go on for weeks about it, because everything I'm seeing, it's just so prevalent in today's society.
Right.
Forget just the fan gear that people wear.
Right.
The influence that your clients have on all of us as we watch them and we aspire to be like them, to, the huge licensing and endorsement deals.
Yeah.
To the sports leagues working with retailers to even get their brands out, as if their brands weren't big enough and they weren't getting out far and wide anyhow.
Right.
So I really feel like there's so much to say about how fashion and sports kind of cross over.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we just have a couple minutes left. I told you it was going to go by really fast.
It is.
I
It's
told
fast.
you.
so fun.
And we talked a lot about our game changers and people that we sort of like to watch and follow, but we'd love to hear from you, some of your favorites.
Game changers?
Yeah, game changers, clients to work with, anyone you've come across that really has just made an impact, has resonated with you somehow.
Gosh, well, we
Magic.
already know. Yeah, I mean, Magic and Russell, they've really, the two different scenarios too, which is so fun, because Magic is very, conservative, classic, and is a businessman.
Yeah.
And he's always said, dress like a businessman.
Right.
And then Russell, he can switch it up, because when he goes to his galas and things like that, he knows how to present himself. So love them both. I love all my clients. I'm just so blessed and, happy to be doing what I love to do.
Well, we really appreciate your time. It means a lot to us that you came down here, and we love seeing you. And we just want everybody to know that Jhoanna Alba is really, truly a person who gives back.
Yeah.
Not only have we experienced that personally at Fashion Centers, where, like I said, she brought 5 clients of hers,
Are we doing that again? That was so
Yes,
fun.
yes.
We're already planning the next one.
Yeah.
So yes,
Okay,
we'll be
great.
hitting you up.
We'll announce the date.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking. But not only that, all of the good works that you do, and I would imagine that you influence your clients, not whether you know it or not, to also do good work. So thank you again.
Thank you both.
I want to thank everybody who is listening to us live and who will listen to us after the show has aired. We are now on iTunes. You can find us and subscribe to our podcast, which we're very excited about. Next show will be July 25th, and we are going to be talking about how athletes have the opportunity to use their position in sports as a platform to discuss social issues. We see it a lot going on every single day,
Right.
and some do it in an amazing way, and some it backfires on. But the important part is they do have the platform, so we want to have that discussion, and we'll be announcing if there's any guests for that show very shortly. And we really thank you, Eira.
Thank
you for
Lots of fun.
being here.
And Jhoanna, thank
Thanks,
you.
Sarah.
Game changer.
Jarvis,
Thank you so much.
thanks
you
for
very
being
much.
our security
Thanks,
blanket.
Jarvis.
We do appreciate it. And we'll see you all in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, everyone.
In the future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.